No one expected that the night, initially filled with cheers, would turn into a sea of emotions. In the first 20 seconds, which felt like an eternity, Song Weilong's voice trembled, breaking the atmosphere with a frankness rarely seen by stars. Beside him, Xiao Jin Mai lowered her head, holding back something she could no longer hide. All eyes were transfixed. There was no script, no acting, just two people standing in the spotlight, revealing sides that had been hidden behind the glitz of fame. Song Weilong took a deep breath before finally speaking. His words were simple, yet fraught with meaning. He admitted that the journey to this point was never as easy as it appeared on screen. Behind the smile and charisma that captivated millions of fans, there were long nights filled with doubt and exhaustion. He recounted how the pressure to always be perfect often made him feel lost. There were times when he questioned whether it was all truly worth fighting for. But it was at that moment that the fans' voices became a small light that guided him out of the darkness. The audience began to sob, not because of the dramatic words, but because of the raw honesty. Every sentence she spoke was like opening a door to a world they had never seen before. Then it was Xiao Jinmai's turn. She slowly lifted her face, her eyes already brimming with tears. Her voice was soft yet clear. She confessed that being under the spotlight from a young age wasn't easy. There were constant expectations. There were judgments coming from all directions. And underneath it all, she was just someone who wanted to feel enough, to feel unconditionally accepted. She spoke of days when she felt so exhausted she almost gave up, when the negative comments felt louder than the support she received, when she questioned whether she was strong enough to keep going. But amidst it all, there were messages from fans that came like a warm hug, simple words that may seem small, but have the power to save someone from falling. The audience couldn't hold back their emotions any longer. Tears began to ring out in various corners of the room. The moment had become something much bigger than just an ordinary event. Song Weilong spoke again, this time with a more determined voice. She said that without her fans, she might not have been standing there that day. That every bit of support, no matter how small, carries a meaning beyond words. She looked out at the audience, as if wanting to ensure that everyone there understood how valuable they were. Not just as fans, but as part of her life's journey. Xiao Jin Mai nodded slowly, adding that the love they received was not something she took for granted. She treasured every message, every bit of support, as a reminder that she was not alone. The moment felt so intimate, even though it was witnessed by thousands. It was as if time had stopped for a moment, allowing honesty to speak louder than anything else. Outside the venue, the internet began to vibrate. Video footage of the moment spread rapidly, touching the hearts of millions around the world. Comments filled with expressions of emotion and gratitude. Many admitted they had never imagined that the figure they admired also had a vulnerable side. That behind success and popularity, there were struggles never seen. The moment served as a reminder that fame doesn't erase fear, doesn't eliminate doubt, and doesn't make one immune to pain. In fact, sometimes it magnifies them all. But at the same time, it also demonstrated the strength of the connection between artist and fan. A connection that isn't always visible, but its impact is palpable. Song Weilong and Xiao Jin Mai stood side by side, giving each other strength without needing to say much. In their silence, there was an understanding that only those who have been in the same position can feel. The stage lights eventually dimmed completely, but the emotion created that night didn't fade. It lived on in the hearts of everyone who witnessed it. And perhaps that's what made that moment so special. Not because of who was standing on stage, but because of their courage to show that behind all the lights, they were still human. Humans who can get tired, who can doubt, and who can be hurt. But also humans who can rise, persevere, and find strength from those who believe in them. The night ended, but the story continued to resonate. In every heart touched, in every tear shed, and in every smile born of honesty finally revealed. The silence that had enveloped the room slowly transformed into applause that was not only enthusiastic, but also full of meaning. The applause wasn't just a token of appreciation, but a sincere expression of empathy, heartfelt from heart to heart. It was as if everyone there wanted to say, "We understand, and we're here for you." Behind the cameras, still recording every second, the audience's expressions conveyed something deeper than mere admiration. There was a sense of connection, as if the boundaries between idol and fan had collapsed in that one night of honesty. Song Weilong stared up at the ceiling of the stage, trying to compose himself. But it was clear that the moment had touched something deeply personal within him. For the first time, he didn't look like a superstar. He just looked like someone who had finally dared to be honest. Xiao Jin Mai wiped away her tears with a small, bitter smile. That smile wasn't a sign of weakness, but rather a sign of courage. That she chose to stand, to keep speaking, even though her heart wasn't in it. Several audience members were seen holding hands, immersed in the atmosphere. They came to see their idols, but they left with something far more meaningful, a lesson in sincerity and strength. In another corner, a fan raised her light stick higher than before. The small light shimmered in the dimming room, as if symbolizing that their support would always be there, even when the stage was empty. That moment not only changed the way the fans saw themselves, but also changed the way they saw themselves. That it was okay to feel weak, it was okay to not always be strong as long as we didn't give up. When they finally walked off the stage, their steps felt different. Lighter, as if some of the burden they had been carrying had been lifted. Not because their problems were gone, but because they no longer held them in themselves. And out there, in a world that keeps moving without stopping, the story of that night will live on. A reminder that behind every shining light, there is always a shadow trying to hide until finally, someone dares to reveal it. In the days that followed, that moment was replayed by millions of people. Not just because of who spoke it, but because of how close those words felt to so many people's lives. It was as if what they were expressing on stage was the voice of a heart that so many others had been holding in for so long. Messages poured in nonstop. From different countries, in different languages, but with the same meaning. Thank you for your courageous honesty. Many said they felt less alone after hearing that confession. That even those who appear strong can feel vulnerable. On the other hand, Song Weilong and Zhao Jinmai also felt a subtle but significant change. There was a calm they had rarely felt before. It was as if, by opening up, they had rediscovered a part of themselves they had lost. They began to realize that true strength isn't about hiding pain, but about having the courage to admit it. That being vulnerable doesn't mean being weak, but rather the most honest form of courage. And perhaps that's why that moment resonated so deeply. Because in a world that often demands perfection, they chose to show their imperfections, and that's precisely where the beauty lies. Ultimately, this story isn't just about two stars and their fans. It's a story about people, about feelings, and about how one moment of honesty can change so many hearts forever.